I'm going to call time at about maybe 5:10 of 4, just so that we can take stock where we are,
Yeah.
figure out
Yeah.
to keep you guys going. What do we need to have another work session? Again, I'm not saying we have to right now. I'm just saying we'll have to take stock and say.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know what juniors' calendars looks like, right? But if we need to have another session tomorrow or Monday to work it into the calendar to keep you guys going, we'll do that.
Right.
So tutorial-wise, I'm redesigning that. I thought we would have time, but I forgot that we needed to do the high gap introduction. But uh, I have redesigned the tutorial, but we're not gonna talk about that now. So we can talk about that next week. Uh, let's go then to Francis 1, which is the first scene after the tutorial. For Kwan, Jonah, and Nazreen. In the original project, we had the tutorial happen in Francis E. Walter Dam, which is the dam.
So it's W1.
Yeah, so it's W1. I'm gonna hide this.
So it's Francis, W1B, W2, it's different.
So Francis W1B is the actual scene with the narration, with the interactivity.
Gotcha.
But that's not gonna, according to the redesign, we're dropping that.
Yeah, okay.
And it's faster, less instruction, but completes everything. So we will go to 1B because that's the actual beginning.
What's this one?
Wait, is this scenes folder?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. iVR1 scenes Francis 1B.
Because like, I don't know if like I only see Francis 1 and Francis 2.
First iVR1, the folder.
Oh, okay, fine,
Scenes.
here.
Yeah, scenes. Asset scenes. Yep.
Like, I only see Francis 1, but like in no W1.
Francis W1.
Or am I in the wrong project?
I think you're in the wrong. You should have
I'm in
opened
iVR1 green, right?
Watershed Explorers 2022 at the top.
Oh, yeah, okay, Watershed Explorers. I don't know why, but I went.
Yeah, you should be in this one. Yeah.
I wanted to iVR1 green. That's one.
That's okay. Let me check cross view.
Actually, I put it again just to. Actually, we gotta do that. Right? Even though I didn't see the way.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep, thank you.
Take
Jonah, you're
notice.
good?
Yep.
Take notice that the structure of game Watershed Explorer is like game mechanics, so that prefab that holds all the important controllers, right? This is a new one because it's the first time that they are actually playing. So it's the world space, and I wrote interactable canvas. So the world space canvas, if you see on the very inspector, the render mode is different. It's world space. And what does that mean? In Unity tutorials, they started saying that it's a 3D canvas. And that's fine because if it's 3D, it's because it has the Z axis, so it has depth, right? So the difference between an overlay canvas, which is the default one, and a world space canvas is that you need to define what is the camera that is rendering this canvas for us. And then I put the main camera here because it's the desktop version. What I want to show you is that as children of this game object, I have the panels that I talked about. And I'm going to exit 2D mode, and I'm going to enable these panels for you to see how we controlled where things were positioned in the photosphere. So like white panel, Can you see here? I selected the white panel. The inspector, the image
Yeah.
component is disabled. So if you enable the image component, like a white panel appears here, like a semi-transparent.
Mhm.
Do the same thing for the green panel, for the red panel, and for the blue panel.
Oh, this is like the anchor thing you were talking about, right?
Yes, it's like we delimited the space around that floor so
Uh-huh.
that when we were inside where the sphere denotes where the player is, the field of view, the source of view. So look at that. By looking at here, I know that the camera icon, the photo button, is under the blue panel,
Mhm.
right? If I want to see like where the, let's see, ah, anyways, where's that? Where's the camera?
Please,
Camera
not the what?
here. Look, I'm gonna disable this. When we go to game view with the panels open, you see where it's being rendered. Like the camera is being rendered
Mhm.
on the blue panel, and like the uh, next button for you to go to the next sphere, it's on this green panel over here. And if you go there, like here, it's on the green panel. So that was the shenanigan contraption that we came up with to make sure that we had control.
And,
Like red panel, info sign, yes.
no, no. So I think I understand. So that sorry, can you scroll back right there? So that's blue panel that you're looking at right there. Is that the blue color?
Yeah, yeah, actually it used
Or
to be blue, green, and red, and
green?
then we changed the color for the behind.
So what you've done is so that you can see the camera icon and the info sign, you've put them on panels. Is that what
Yes,
they reside on panels in
yes,
the, this is
yes,
y-axis, like a y planar axis, right?
yes.
So you're putting it on a y planar axis. Okay.
Yeah, like that. Let me change the color just to make sense because it's not making sense at all.
And so let me ask, and we're still in 2D space, right?
Not anymore.
We're not.
I'm gonna change the colors here. I just need to find where the sphere is because behind the camera. So I put the sphere and the plane under the camera to help us. Okay, this is where we should be inside the sphere, and then we can even disable the sphere. This is the look we have when we are playing, kind
Right.
of,
Kind
right? Actually, it's a little up. So let me
of. So are these uh,
like this.
these image planars, colored space type things? When you go into into VR with the, because we're in a photosphere in 2D here, right?
Yes.
And that was your solution so that you could actually
Understand where things were around you.
around you, but they're not checked on. I get it. So during gameplay, that blue panel is checked off.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, no, 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 no,
No?
no. That's a great question, but no. Why is that? Because if we check off the blue panel here in the hierarchy,
Yeah.
I disable the children as well. So the camera icon goes away. Look, the camera is here.
Mhm.
And it's a little bit backwards because after I put this as a child of the blue panel, I pushed it away in the z-axis to be far away from the view. Otherwise, it would be too big. So, like the z position of this camera, let's see here, it's 450.
Yes.
But if I zero it, it's gonna be right here where this x is. Take a look.
Ah, I see.
So I started like coming down here where the camera is. Like this is where I want the camera icon to be. But that was too close, like it's huge, the perspective, right? So I got the Z and I was pulling that back until it was in a nice place, you know? So we create the false illusion that it's far away from us with the Z. Actually, it is. Uh, The holder, the parent, is the blue panel.
Mm.
So what, to answer again your answer, if we disable the blue panel, it disables all the children together.
Ah,
So what we do, we disable the image component of the panel. So the image component is not there, but the rect transform, so the delineation of the space is there. So it's still here. Can you see the white line?
yeah.
So it's just like a
I
skeleton that
So
I
by
created.
so by unchecking the image, that's where the blue color comes from
Yeah.
from the image
Yeah,
component.
yeah. So I created like a skeleton around me. So I put stuff on these
Yeah.
panels.
And so are we thinking that this system, just how this is designed here, should work in headset VR
Yeah,
too, right?
it's
Yeah.
because
Because
these games that we
because it
have
is
always they are
360,
always 360 by
360.
nature.
Okay.
This is the because that was my first game, second game actually. So I was like, how do I do this in a systematic way? That was, and also I needed to help Beiji come back to
Right.
speed and this worked. Nowadays, I do the on I like I mean, bless you. I am in play mode.
Mhm.
I am in the headset, and I do like this with the headset so I can see the screen, and I get the mouse and I move here until the thing passes in front of my eye. But that's like fast development. The systematic one is like this, but it's the same for both.
And then let me ask another question. So with the blue panel and the inspector, then you basically in these other colors, um, since these since the camera, I don't know, I don't want to use the word component because that's a different term, but the objects like the icons here, like the info sign,
Uh-huh.
the camera. So that's now you've made that consistent across all the
Yes.
photospheres.
Yes.
And so really, once you get one made,
Yes.
you just then take the component, copy that component, and then when you go into the other scene, you basically place that copy.
It's easier than that.
Easier than that even.
Because I also did the like I worked here 1st in
Mhm.
Francis U. Walter. So I created lots of possibilities. For example, white panel, there's a video here. But I don't have a video in Francis E. Walter 1. I have a video in Francis E. Walter 2. So when I was in Francis E. Walter 2, I duplicated this scene and I disabled what I didn't need and I enabled what I needed. Sometimes what we need to do is to change the children. This nomenclature is ridiculous. So the parent that is right,
Yeah.
like we will lose a child to the green panel and vice versa, depending on where we want to put that floating icon to be, right?
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So because again, remember I told you in
So,
the
like-
other meeting about the photos here. What like I use the panoramic like here. So my photosphere is not a sphere. My photosphere it's a skybox. So it's in rendering lighting environment here. I have a skybox material Francis Walter 1 BAM material.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but when one goes, I think we set this up this way, Junior. It, when when you go in, for, let's say, enter a photosphere for the first time, I think we set it so that you see those icons, right, in that initial visualization, because we want to make sure that people say, oh yeah, here's the the image, the historical images, here's the video, right, or here's the this interpretive sign, right?
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when you all are start moving these over into headsets, because even though it's 360, you don't want people hunting around trying to find these things. It's like as soon as you go from one foot, you go like down the canoe path, right? When you enter another photosphere, you want that first visualization to kind of have those icons in front of the field of vision, so that they don't have to hunt for them.
Yeah.
The idea is you do this and then you kind of explore, right? Or in some cases, and I think we might have that. Maybe I think we have maybe one location. No, we don't. We don't have a location that has two photospheres, do we? For short version, I don't think we do. Okay. But as you remember when we went through the chart, part of what we're doing is we're kind of combining some photospheres. So we might have to grab some icons from one. So let's say I'll use Francis E. Walter just as an example. Or I'll try to find a better example.
Francis is nice
Yeah,
because
it's a nice
Francis
one.
is also being merged, and there is
But
a video in.
merge, and let's say, oh, we're only going to use Francis 1, right?
Yeah.
Not 2.
Yeah.
Then you've then got to go into 2, grab the components that you want to see, like the info stuff and the historical imagery, and then bring that into that other photosphere.
Gotcha.
And then we have to kind of figure out how. And again, I don't know all the pieces yet. I haven't got to that point yet.
I can model this right now. There is a technique that I shared with other groups. I don't know if you remember, which is opening the scene additive. You open two scenes together. So we are in Francis 1. Dr. Bodin said we need to get an icon from Francis 2 and put in Francis 1. So we go to the scenes folder, and then I find Francis 2 B. Yeah. And I click with the right button and I click open scene additive. So I'm gonna add the scene on top of the first one. So, and then we can do that technique of like closing the eyes. I don't wanna see Francis 1 now. So I'm just seeing Francis 2. But actually both of them are open. But what I wanna do is to go to my load space canvas and I'll see like, where is the video? Here, the video button. So I can totally drag and drop. Like I'm gonna, so I had the like white panel video here. So I'm gonna drag and drop this video here. And then once it's there, I will remove the scene, but I will not save. Because if you save, you destroy the stuff. Do not like remove scene. And when you like check, no, don't save. So you literally stole one thing in the correct position and it's here. Now let's open the eyes.
We're recording, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So look, now I have the video icon here, but it's not like by default in the correct position because it has its original position variables like X, Y, and Z. So since it's a child of the white panel, it's expected that when I reset the children, it's gonna be in the middle of the panel. So let's see if that's what happens. Ta-da! Right? So one thing that's happening here, for instance, this sign it's inverted. So with doing 2D development is better because it's easier. For example, in order for us to like put it the other way around, you just have to change the sign. For example, this video button is in the scale 1, 1, 1. So x is 1. If I say x is minus 1, it changes.
Yeah.
Like invert the coordinate system, right? It can also be done with y, if that's the case. So now I have a video button here. The thing that we need to do is the checking the variables because all the references, where is that? This is a button, right? Yeah. So all the references that we have on the on-click or on the event triggers, they are from the other scene. So we have to do some cleaning work, reconnecting the variables that need to be reconnected and make sure that this is working now in this new scene. And then you save because now it's a change. But I'm not saving anything here, just showing the stuff. Right? So I think this is the soul of this design, the structure of this type of game with photospheres or virtual field trips. We need to know where we're going to be putting these floating icons, and this helps a lot for us to, see where stuff should be. Let me open this scene again, and I'm not going to say anything. So we just talked about the world space canvas and how the panels help us organize these objects that are floating here. Something that I was able to improve with the past groups is that, like, for example, we have a 3D object that we added to this scene. But like, where does that live? It's under the workspace canvas. I, I don't need to have a canvas for a 3D object. Canvas are made for 2D objects. We can put objects as children of 3D objects, just like I did, because being a child in Unity only means that you're going to be using the reference position of the parent to organize the position of the child, right? So what I was trying to say is like, I don't think this is nice practice. What we started to do is uh, putting those organizers, like we have the systems, and then we have 2D UI, we have like the environment. So the environment, we can have like 3 objects that we put. Uh, for now, for this project, it's fine because it's working. But I'm just making this comment so that this is not taken as like, oh, that's how it should be. IVR 2 and 3 are much better organized in terms of hierarchy than IVR1. So here, this three-dimensional object, I created that with 3 cubes. So I created a cube and I transformed that into a rectangle. And I also created one here, and I pulled the y-axis to extend that. And I duplicated one leg into another leg. And then I saved this as a prefab. And on the cube, I put a 3D plane, and I created a material for each one of the information signs. So this is the information sign example material, which is here. So this information sign, as you can see, I am using this shader unlit, and I'm focusing on the texture, so the content that is on this texture or this shader. And why is that unlit? Because I don't have a sunlight source in Watershed Explorer. There is a sun in the 360 photo, but that is not actually the sun light. And all the other 3D objects also I use uh, like unlit texture shaders because I didn't want to do with shadows or whatever, uh, which was not needed for the experience. But if you need to have shadows, lighting, and whatever, you will have to be doing a lot with shaders and lighting. Um, so this info stand is a prefab. What I do in every scene, because in Watershed Explorer, most scenes have one information sign. We just change the material from this one. Let's see the other one. Thomas Ironwork. Ta-da. So if I click this one now, this sign has Thomas Ironwork uh, information sign. This is the old one, by the way. We have a redesigned new one. Uh, so screen space canvas and on-screen space canvas, we talked about that since game menu. They are like main game parents in this one. So the screen space canvas is everything that is being overlaid on top of the camera, in your face, literally, right? So we have a holder for main panel, so progress panel, settings, journal, multimedia, location, everything is in the on-screen space canvas. Uh, we also have a corner HUD, which is also a child of the screen space canvas, and it stays on the bottom. Let me go to a scene and show this correctly. Here. So this is I turned off the crossfade effect. This is the back part of the game. We have 3 main panels activated here. On the very foreground, we have the hand with the mouse. This is coming from the on-screen space canvas. So click to look around is enabled here. And if I disable it, it disappears. So it is like this because somewhere, like in the script, it's disabling at the game start method. But if I don't want to have any help overlaid on my screen, I can go to the options and turn it off so everything disappears, including tooltips. And this is something that you're doing now for VR as well. Uh, but I don't think tooltips we will be able to disable them in VR because we need to check how that is going to be interacting when it's done. Uh, Here, the second thing I have is the narration panel. So every time you get to a new photosphere, this narration panel kicks in. The back of the screen has a black shader to separate what you should be paying attention to the background. And if I disable the narration screen, everything disappears. Mirror, the dialog box, and everything. And I always have the corner HUD on. The corner HUD is this bottom left corner. It's where all the game buttons are, the compass is, and the location panel is. I'm gonna hide the narration and the on-screen. Oops, should be. So remember, whenever you're in scene mode, use these white lines to guide you. This is the screen space canvas that is the parent of everything I'm dealing with now. And this might be the screen space canvas of this one. So you click, if the circles come to the very edges, that's exactly the game object that we are talking about.
Yep.
So now I'm going to go to a child again, which is the corner HUD. The corner HUD was like anchored to the bottom left corner because it should be always there. Uh, and the thing that is important is this button here. When we click this button, we, we enable the location panel. What is that? Main panels, location panel here. So the location panel is this brown gradient effect that tells us where we are, and there is a GPS thing. In the desktop version, we have this space here that shows the geo hints. When you're moving around, it tells you where you're looking at, but we don't know if it's staying to the VR version yet. Another thing here, let's see, main panels. So this button here, the first one, the book. This is the book that opens the Explorer tools. So the Explorer tools is called Progress Panel in this project. So we enable the project panel, Progress Panel. We have a very darker shader to separate it, and the main panel is in the middle. So the Progress Panel has a progress container. We talked about that. If we want to resize, we can resize everything at once. And all the details are below. In the VR version, I already transferred this. So the only thing that doesn't exist yet in the VR version is this part here, because this is a tutorial part.
Oh.
We have to update that, and I'm thinking about putting one of the associates to do that for us, because that's good UI practice, right? And they will be able to practice UI while you two work with me on the nitty-gritty of programming. So there is a hierarchy in these names. We have lots of panel, but sometimes we have a sub-panel. A sub-panel is a panel that is open from here, the progress pane. For example, if I click the journal opens on top of the progress panel. So that's why it's called a sub-panel. Like it's not in the code, it's disabling the progress panel, not to get like behind it. But when I close the bottom of the sub-panel, it enables the progress panel first and disable the sub-panel that I was using. So we go back to the step that we were. And then now I want to go now to the gallery. It's going to open the gallery, the code opens the gallery and disables the progress panel that is in the second layer. All right?
So I want to talk a little bit about the gallery. If you can pull that screen back up. And I don't know, we don't have to make a decision today, Junior, but I think what I'd like to do here for the short versions. And I don't know if you've given this thought.
I already gave this thought, and I asked you. You gave me the answer
Did I-
that you have in your mind.
to
But
keep
then when
everything, to keep all this.
No, you had said otherwise. But the answer that I found after I did the transfer, it's easier to keep everything.
Keep everything.
Also as a means of like showing them that, oh, if you want to explore more, you can.
Yeah.
Because when you click this
Yeah.
in the mini version, like I don't have walnut port, for instance.
Mhm.
But if they are here and they click walnut port, there is a lock this big saying like, you haven't been to this place yet, so you cannot see these photos. So it's like a kind of motivational.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, and let me see if this makes sense. Of course, I got my shoe off. I apologize. The roll on the foot, the ball on the foot. I'm just thinking. So let's imagine in the mini version that you have walnut. I don't think walnut port is actually in the mini version that they're doing it for industrial history.
It is.
Is it? It is.
Can you plug your headset there to show him?
No, it's okay. It's all right. So let me. I'm trying to think what's so. There's Francis E. Walter Rock. Well, Francis E. Walter isn't right. We don't start, or are we starting? I can't recall. I think we do start Francis E. Walter.
But like in this case,
What I'm thinking of, let's imagine. All right, so here's one I can example. So in your version, you do go to Thomas Iron Works, but you don't go to Hamilton Street Dam, but you do go to Bethlehem Steel. And so I'm wondering, when you canoe down from Thomas Iron to Bethlehem, is maybe we keep everything in the gallery, and as you go down, and if you skip a place, you still make it available.
oh really?
That was my thought. Because then if somebody wanted to explore further, they could. Remember, we're talking a shorter desktop version first, and then the headset version. And that way you don't have to, so there's two things about this. One is, I think, then you don't have to remove things. That's one thing. It's there. That's one thing. The second thing, then, it just becomes some extra thing that's just there if somebody wanted to get into the gallery. What we found from our usability tests is people didn't use this, and so now we're going to include a reminder in there. I think after they get through the second photosphere, that kind of says, oh, you can revisit this stuff, and just a reminder will pop in somewhere.
This you are to like come to the present. We already done that for the qualifying study. We already had the reminder in place, and the reminders for VR are already done.
So I don't know. Give me your thought. What I just about keeping everything in the gallery. I mean,
structure wise, it's much simpler because in order to reach this level of UI, it's a pain in the neck.
Yes.
Right? So what we can do is to disable the button. For example, take a look here at side tag. We have 10 tags from watersheds 1 and 10. We haven't been to Rockport. So 1, 2, 3. I can come and
this is another reason what he's going to show you.
So I can raycast target. I make it not a raycast, so whenever I pass my mouse here, nothing happens.
I know, and that would be weird. So that's why I'm thinking let's just keep it all, because if you don't want to remove Rockport, then it looks weird, right? You'd have to restructure all the blocks. If you make it so you can't click on it after you've passed it, then it's going to be a weird thing.
Wait, this is what I was saying, like possibilities. Okay. The way it is now, they can interact with all the buttons. But if they haven't been to a place, what they will see is...
Right, there's a lock on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lock. So what I'm suggesting is if you pass it, because remember, you're going from, again, Thomas Iron Works down to Bethlehem, you've now passed Hamilton Street, and it's there. Now what I'm recommending is, in the mini version, if somebody does want to explore on it and they click Hamilton, it's not locked for them. Because it's always, if you keep it the way it's programmed, if you don't visit, it's always going to stay locked. it's kind of a weird thing.
For the gallery, I agree, it's fine.
Yeah.
But how do you explain the weirdness of the journal? Because the journal keeps track of what the avatar said, but they are not hearing any narration about that. And then in the journal, we will have a different system.
Yeah. So let's pull up the journal. Right
The
now.
journal has the same
Does it have the
structure.
same structure?
However,
Yeah.
instead of showing images, it shows the entries. For example, this is, I'm sorry, this is the wrong slide, page area. So the image is always on here, but when I, for instance, I wanna see the Rockport narration. So it's currently it's like this because I'm in Francis E. Walker. But then, after I heard the Watershed Explorers narrating to me, this is a summary of the entire narration of the place.
Right.
So imagine if you were going down and then,
Yeah.
so we can leave the question marks. I think that's as I like. Are you curious? So if you want, you can play another one. I was even thinking about changing a little this color scheme here on the side buttons, because for instance, in the environmental river, the iVR1 riverine environmental issues, we are calling it IVR green. So because we changed the color scheme to green, the button should be green. Whatever button is only for industrial history should be yellow, like here. And the other one for the third version that we prepared, but it's not being developed, is blue. So that's an idea, I don't know. But like, I would feel very like, well, what are these like for? And imagine, we tell them in the moment of the question button, like here, we don't have a question. Whenever they have to answer the question, we say, don't forget to open your this Explorer tools to refresh your memory. If they have access to extra information, it's
Yeah.
cognitive load overload.
I hear you.
And also in the gallery has tooltips that the image caption is a tooltip on the gallery. So they are not only seeing the photo again, but they are reading the instruction of that location in the tooltip. So maybe keeping it hidden as a motivational strategy to play others if they want, or even to play the full version online.
Yeah, that was another thought was, and we don't have to address this today because we're not at it, but we're going to have to address this at some point. But but and then we'll move on in here a second. But another thought what we could do is like if you did click, let's say Hamilton Street, right, and then if we decide instead of having question, what we could say is this is something like this site is not covered in the industrial history, Watershed
Yes.
Explorers industrial history. When you're done with this experience, check out the full version.
Yes,
That's
and
something that we could
that's
do.
a great idea
Yeah.
because I also had this idea in the past.
Yeah.
What I did was when we click this button that is not part of the thing, I created an image with all the watershed explorers together, saying that like you haven't been to this place yet, so why don't you come and visit us again and we can explore this place, something like that.
Something like that.
But
All
then
right.
instead of showing the question, we just show that like it's not part of that
Right. Yeah. I
expedition,
think
right?
that would make more sense. All right.
All right, that's
It's
great.
good conversation. We'll hopefully recall this conversation when we get to that when we get to the coding of this part.
Okay.
Which again, you're working on the desktop version first anyway, so it's going to come up sooner than later. I mean, I think you guys are going to jam through this fairly quickly.
Since we are here, we should, John, please go and plug the headset. Don't
This
listen to
one's
Dr.
Quant's.
Button.
Mine's in the box.
So is the game working there as well?
No, I've been trying on 2022 version which has been
So
running.
it's you.
Unbox it.
Juan, you gotta catch up. We need both headsets working so we can do this test quick. So the question here is, and he's gonna show us. We can show this gallery panel, the progress panel floating in the air. Uh, but for other interfaces like it's weird. For example, do you remember the top view from the aerial view with we see the historical photos? That photo floating around, it's very disturbing. So recently, I got the idea of the iPad that I had developed and I brought back into this project so that we can have the fake 2D interface and it's feeling natural. The question is now, how are we going to balance when something is open floating away in the space, or if it's only on the iPad that we can get closer to our face and or expand the iPad to be better to read.
And so you're talking about the aerial view, like if there's more than one photosphere.
The aerial view, it's better to be in the iPad definitely. But
Yeah.
for example, the progress panel, the conversation log, the settings, they are nice. Like the interaction with panels that are floating, it's fine. But we need to decide what shows on the iPad and what shows floating.
Am I opening this one? Or what am
iVR green. And, yeah, I was talking about Juan and Jonah, but I also haven't prepared my headset because I have maybe while they are because we want to screen share so that others can see perhaps. And like this is the first design like model that we stepped on puddle, right? But the next one is the one that I put in the sprint report. How we will convey the video of kayaking down the watershed here, since that is just a 2D video. There's
Right.
nothing around us.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
imagine we are here, but the first is Francis Walter. Oh, you're done. Click here, and then you see the video, but you are still in Francis Walter. So what are we going to do?
Here's sort of my thought about it. So when you think about the desktop game, right? When you click the go, the screen changes and it's an animation, right? That kind of goes down. It's an animation. So I think I have no issue with then all of a sudden to get the canoe down. You can't do it in 3D space. So maybe what we do is we have a bot like I don't know what the proper term I want. It's a 2D plane that
This is called a cube map.
a
It's a
cube is
cube
a
that has something to be here, here, here. So you are inside a 360 cube, but it's plain. Jonah, go to
so it's sort
plastic
of
and
so
update. There is a new version,
so
please.
so here it's sort of this idea of when you're
This is the next class.
right. So the cube map. Remember how sometimes you can
Oh
like
wait, I'm sorry. It's not connected to plastic.
Wait, was it opening the 2020 or the 2021 version?
2020.
Ah, okay.
so how when you're in the Oculus headset and you go like to Netflix, right? And it's
Yes,
like
yes,
you're sitting in a movie theater and there's
yes,
the screen in front of you.
yes.
So why not kind of and that's the cube, right? The screen is what you're talking about, a cube.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So why not put a cube in there that's like a screen and then just have the canoe animation just go so it's directly in front of you, and that's how you transition. So you're in this photosphere, you go to the next thing, and it transitions you then to this cube screen, right? And then it's just right in front of you where you can't really move around. It's forcing you to look forward, and then you see the movement of the canoe just like from the same animation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way to do it.
That's good. We can also, if you want, we can get the canoe from Flood Adventures and put below us. If they look down, they will see that they are in a canoe. Like to try to increase the effect of like, oh. But I like that. The example you gave
It's
was
simple.
helpful because
It's
when we open X,
yeah.
the first thing they do is to show the logo, just like the
Yeah.
when you initialize the headset, it's like meta, but we are in a black screen.
Yeah.
But only here. You're ready, Jonah.
This is updated?
Yeah. Is it? Oh, great. What?
Did you follow that conversation, Quan?
That's alright. I was, you guys were talking about a canoe, right?
Yeah, you know how when you went to the activity, the experience, when you go from one photo to the next, there's a canoe trip.
Yep.
Yeah. So the idea was saying, because what we have to do is figure out how do you convey that transition of traveling from one place to the next with the canoe trip. And when you go into 3D, when you go into VR, right? And so what a suggestion is you do a cube within the VR that's basically like a screen in front of you. And you force the user to look straight ahead at the screen, and that will just give you then the animation going down.
Wait, so you basically have a screen in front of the
Is
players.
it working over there, Jonah?
No.
The canoe thing will be like on the cube.
Yeah, the canoe. So really, that animation, it's already made. It's just a matter of just putting it, I guess, on a screen that's it's a cube. Like we called it, I forget, a cube something or other. But it would just be displayed on that. So that's what you focused on looking
I'm glad
at.
that I'm not the only one anymore.
Wait, what if we just put like some map in front of the player then?
That's what it is. It's basically a map, but you have to put the map on something, and you put it on this cube thing. Yeah. Yeah. I think that'll work.
Yes. We are in platform here. I saw you doing that, so. Yeah, you should have. Right.
So ready to play again. I think this is play
Put on your face, please. Otherwise, Alex, I know it was not fun. Or we did refresh it again. Oh, did you change? Oh, this is class 2. I wonder if there is another button that we need to change because it might not be seamless anymore.
Might be seamless.
Yeah, I crashed that again. So when the player settings, we need to determine whether we are rendering a this class 1 or 2. That's a new issue that we have just found. We thought that it was going to be seamless, but it's not. So forget about it.
Okay.
Oh no, don't forget about it. Use mine.
Okay. Oh, he's down.
Let me ask, did you enable this thing inside first?
Oh, yeah. I did.
Because that's annoying. So
Yeah.
when you connect, you have to give permission on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So go ahead. Connect it to the computer. Let me see if Mary has found your device. Yes. Aren't you seeing anything?
I'm just sitting in the lobby.
Oh, sorry. You gotta activate uh, VR link, whatever. So on the bottom dashboard to the left, there is an icon of the battery with the hours. Click there. There is a panel to the right. The third button is link request. Click there, enable. Is it on read mode yet?
Yes.
Oh wait. Go. Sorry. So the left hand is the tablet.
Yep.
Yeah, just do this stuff.
Okay.
The left grip will turn on and off. Yeah. So let's show Dr. Bozzi the things. I'm gonna maximize here. So, Jonah, please look up and click on the information sign on to the right. So this is the floating panel UI,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
For us, to the people, it's great, but for Jonah inside the headset, it might be uncomfortable because we
I
don't
think
have.
it's weird. For me, if I had to say it, would be I can read this and this and this, but like since it follows me, it's hard to read this and this.
What happens if you zoom?
Yeah, that's why there are the zoom things because we try
Yeah.
to put it in the center. Take a try. Click. Is it not working? I broke the zoom. Damn it. Oh, there you go. So the challenge with this kind of UI interface is that we never know the optimal size, and when we reach the optimal size, this font size diminishes and it gets very hard to read. But, John, you can click the X button now. Get your iPad on the left hand, and like if you press the button to the top right corner, you can enlarge it as much as you want. So this iPad was that system that I created to fake the 2D of the computer. And with this, we literally can transfer from the desktop here. Uh, Jonah, try to open something on the corner, but I don't know if it's working. It's not working. But what would happen is like we would have everything there. Let's pretend you are blind, Jonah, and get the controller close to your face so you can see details like this. So people can decide what they want to read by moving the headset.
Francis Walter Dam. Cool.
But then, so what I'm worried, Dr. Watson, is like the consistency. Should we always show things on the iPad? Should we always show things? Oh, Jonah, click on the photo icon. That's ugly. That's there. Go to the right. There. This is ridiculous in headsets.
Yeah,
Very
I
terrible.
understand.
Because this used to be a full screen. When it's full screen, you are flying over the dam. But here, it's just like you know, the showing the historical photos work fine, but the full screen thing sucks.
So when you say the full screen thing, at what point are we saying full screen sucks? I mean, you just said photos were okay, but so let's
John,
go through the process one more time.
open the. It's so fun to be in headset. Open the photo icon again to the right, please. This. This is terrible.
And it can't be made bigger.
It can, but then you don't see anything.
You lose the resolution.
No, it's not resolution. You lose your capacity of sight because it's too close to your eyes.
Wait, what if you make it kind of like the iPad and kind of like postcard and you just click on a postcard and just change your image?
We make a swipe on the iPad.
Okay.
What I was thinking, like, because this picture actually it's not 360. This is an actual 2D GIS from aerial view from the government. So that's what really triggered me to bring back the iPad because if we open, like, Jonah, pretend you're clicking, first, expand the iPad because it's too little. This is an iPad Super Mini.
Can you even?
Get the iPad closer to your face.
Are you doing it?
Okay, I'm gonna play and unplay because you just oh great,
Oh,
go.
nice. Yay.
We did it.
You did.
So imagine we have the iPad in our hands just like our mobile technology that we say in the narration. So when Jonah clicks or anyone else clicks, for example, the videos, if they click the video plays on the iPad, not in the immersive environment.
Is that how it is now, or
No, that's the idea I'm
That's
spinning
you're
to you.
thinking the
Yeah,
idea of that.
because it's more natural than having a video floating in front of you. Because we are in Francis Walter now, holding an iPad.
Is there a video on this one?
Not yet.
Um, that play button doesn't link to a video.
No, it just plays to an alert about the video. Jonah,
I'm testing the bugs down here.
there's no bugs there. I know it's super fun, but like this button, by the way, the left corner, it's to expand the corner HUD, those buttons. And just, yeah, Jonah, stay there. By having the iPad, we also reclaim the 2D UI to have that compass working. If you rotate your head, the eye looks to the correct position.
Yeah.
And Jonah, look down. We don't need to have that. This is weird.
True.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I agree. It's sort of
Can we implement like seeing yourself like a body?
caught that.
No, forget about the word. Wait, Jonah, please look down and open the options panel. So floating panels for options, for progress, it works. It's nice. Even for the narration, it's nice as well. But the consistency is always broken. Can you close your iPad when you have the?
Nope.
So close the options panel, please. Close the iPad. Open the options panel. Yeah. But again, this is the follow head UI. For
I mean,
us,
you could just like leave it like in front of
Wait,
you,
yeah.
and then like I know that way wouldn't follow, but like for
I
me
see.
it would be easier because if I wanted to, I could be like this or this. Closer.
Wait, what's it? Yeah, what we do like when John says just like leave it and like we should spawn it in front of the player, make it a big screen, but like make it stationary, and you
Mhm.
can use like
Yeah.
the home button to like
Mhm.
relocate in whatever direction you're looking
Mhm.
if you want to.
Yeah, that's the third way of doing that. That's also
Say that one more time. So it's the idea of we try to. I don't think I heard.
So do you know about like YouTube and VR? So it's kind of like a big screen in front of you and
Mhm.
just like stationary there, but you can
Yeah.
also relocate it using like by holding the VR button.
to recenter in front of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to reset
So
the
yeah. So go ahead. Can you exit out of that, Joe?
Yep.
All right. So go pull up the iPad again. All right. So I yeah, and I think the trick is when we display the eye. If we go this route, and I'm in favor of this. I just want everyone to know that. I think what we have to do is make because the focus is going to be on the as soon as you pull this up, that's where the focus becomes, right? You're saying if I'm going to bring this thing, this thing should really dominate what I want to focus on and not the 360 photosphere.
It depends.
All right.
It depends because I know where you're coming from, like the cognitive load thing. But remember that we are also in a new environment. So new environment affords new types of interactivity. And in this case, if we find the correct balance of life, for example, we are literally simulating life here. We have an iPad and
Yeah.
we are at Francis Walter.
Yeah.
So
So
when
get
I
more
want
information.
when I want
Yeah.
to use my iPad, I don't need the screen to get dark, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but for example, if Jonah clicks the floating video icon and the video plays on the iPad rather than floating around, it feels more natural.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I like that.
Like this side of like these alerts, these alerts to call the user attention is great. Like, oh, you have a new whatever.
You
It's
imagine
great.
it popped up here, and I could be like, okay, like,
And then you can move your iPad to,
something like that. I think it's more creative and different than just like a screen too.
did it freeze?
Yeah, well, it's not frozen. I just see my hand. Like, I see real life again.
Oh, you gotta enter some space.
Yeah.
Look down, there's a blue circle. Be inside the blue circle, whatever that is.
Oh, there it is.
You don't have a guardian.
Yeah.
I'm in it.
Is it still gray?
No, I still see real life.
Oh, maybe it's because Unity froze and then Oculus activated the guardian system. So come back to life. Yes.
So yeah. So yes, I like the iPad. I think it's gonna, when you click on it, when you first see it, it's gonna have to be big. You know how, because I think how you have it defaulted now, it's kind of small. I think it's gonna have to be, so it's gonna have to be big. You would have to, in the first photosphere that you're in, you'd have to walk the player through using it.
I took care of that. The new version of the tutorial,
Yeah.
I thought about, based on what he suggested on Tuesday morning, I divided the tutorial in 3 stages from the main menu until here.
Yeah.
The tutorial still ends here, but it's more natural. And like, the user will be using the iPad to complete the survey, for instance, when they are there in the group. So everything became very natural now. I was hoping to have time to do that today, but it's fine. But the really bottleneck is this:
All right.
the immersion is being broken with this strangeness.
And you felt that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of, it's weird, you know.
So do you think? So you said you were working on it, right?
Yeah, I'm working on these very problematic things of the translation.
Do you think you'll have kind of a I don't want to put tomorrow, but maybe we can talk about tomorrow in a minute. But by Monday,
yeah.
you think you'll have a prototype, and a rapid prototype we can look at?
Yes, because all of these pieces, just like we keep saying, they are ready.
Yeah.
I just change the position and reset the position, and it's there in the iPad. So
yeah, I'd like to, before I say, yeah, 2 thumbs up, let's do it, I'd like to just get into the headset and, after you've had time to mess with it. So not a perfect prototype, right? But at least a functional prototype with maybe, if you can try to get the screen bigger to start with. Try it out Monday. And then we can decide which way, because we'll have full group meeting also Monday. We can see what people think and get feedback from everybody.
cool. And like, the difference between these two, the high gap story, is that like, this has lots of interface. Like, the high gap story is simpler, so it's much easier for us to translate because the floating panels will do in the high gap story. But here, I went overboard.
Okay, so let's it's 5 of, so let's let's just go ahead and we'll pause, stop the video now.